So let's kickstart Newsroom tonight by bringing you an exhaustive report on the single biggest impact any television story has had ever. You remember the Hurriyat truth tapes? Of course, everyone remembers the Hurriyat truth tapes because this is when the India Today group exposed the real face of some Hurriyat leaders who were caught on camera accepting that they get crores of rupees from Pakistan to burn Kashmir, to burn schools in Kashmir. How Hafiz Saeed plans the riot and protest calendar in coordination with Syed Ali Shah Gilani. Since the day India Today broke this expose, the National Investigation Agency has been relentlessly pursuing, following up leads put out by India Today, and this morning NIA teams in Srinagar in a hush-hush top secret operation swooped down on 7 Hurriyat leaders exposed by India Today. This is the first time any investigation agency or any government has gone after the Hurriyat with clinching evidence supplied by India Today. Sit back and watch the big fallout of this India Today mega exclusive.
ये बताइए 2016 का जो अनरेस्ट रहा है, पूरे 5-6 महीने जो है आपका कार्डर भी उस अनरेस्ट में रहा है। हाँ। आप लोग शामिल
सब कर रहा है। कहाँ से? वहाँ से। अब मैं नाम नहीं लूँगा ना। पाकिस्तान से ना।
जी?
अरे वो कहता है। और वो भी चाहते हैं यहाँ।
कहाँ पाकिस्तान से?
अरे बोलते हैं वो भी नहीं चाहते कि यहाँ थोड़ा मरे हालत। ऐसा में।
On May 16, 2017, you heard this man Bitta Karate confess on India Today cameras that they got funds to fuel unrest in the Kashmir Valley from Pakistan.
गिलानी साहब किसके टच में पाकिस्तान में?
गिलानी की जमात इस्लामी वहाँ है और फिर एजेंसियाँ भी हैं।
हाफिज सईद के कोई टच में है? इनमें से कुछ
गिलानी साहब थोड़ा सा रहा है, थोड़ा सा उनके साथ थोड़ा सा।
On the same day, we also showed you this man, Nayeem Khan of the Hurriyat's Gilani faction, boasting on camera about the Hurriyat terror links. And now, after the explosive sting and extensive reportage, comes the mega breakthrough. The biggest ever crackdown on the villains of the valley. 7 separatists, including the exposed Bitta Karate and Nayeem Khan, arrested by the National Investigation Agency. Among the arrested is also Altaf Fantosh, Syed Ali Shah Gilani's son-in-law.
We have made 7 arrests today. 6 persons have been arrested in Srinagar, 1 in Delhi. We had been collecting information on these terror activities which were being funded from across the border, as well as this sting operation. So whatever information was collected, we had registered a PE, which was soon converted into a regular case, and then wide-ranging searches were conducted at Srinagar, Jammu.
The NIA used the India Today sting operation to build their case against the separatists. The charges against the separatists include criminal conspiracy, attempting to wage war, committing acts of terror, raising funds to fuel terror and unrest, and also being a part of terror groups. Arrested in Srinagar, the separatists were brought to Delhi to be produced in Patiala House Court on Tuesday.
और ये चलता रहेगा सिलसिला जब तक ये पूरा आतंकवाद या अलगाववाद इसमें हमें अंकुश लगाना ही पड़ेगा, ये तब तक कार्रवाई चलती रहेगी.
One, I would congratulate your channel. I mean, it was a very constructive action taken by you, and in the national interest. And this will also serve as vital evidence against these people who are in receipt of payoffs from Pakistan, from the ISI.
The backbone of the Hurriyat conference smashed by the India Today sting operation. And this is just the beginning. The NIA claims bigger fish, including Syed Ali Shah Gilani and Mirwais Umar Farooq, may not be out of the net for long.
The arrests which have been made on the basis of evidence which has come on record.
Burning schools, fueling unrest, These separatists have for long held the valley hostage. Their fall has just begun. With Kamaljeet Kaur Sandhu, Shujaul Haq, Ashutosh Mishra and Anandya Banerjee. Bureau Report, India Today.
Got the latest pictures now coming in. My colleague Shujaul Haq Thakur travelled with the NIA team which were bringing these Hurriyat leaders to Delhi. He was on board. We were able to get these exclusive pictures. That's Nayeem Khan, you remember him? He was intimidating and threatening us, barged into our studios the day we broke the story the first time, said, virtually, tum jante ho main kaun hu, take this story off, you don't know who I am. That's what he told us when he came to the studio the first day. Now he has been arrested by the National Investigation Agency. In fact, Shujaul Haq Thakur, who was on that flight, is joining me now. He's now landed in Delhi. Suja, describe what happened during the flight. Did you get a word in with any of the NIA officers? What's the feedback from Srinagar? What are people making of this big India Today impact, Suja?
Well, Rahul, it was a very busy day, not only just for the NIA, but everyone else like us who were involved in it. What we saw is that the NIA, in a very, very swift manner, called these people in, then informed them that they have been put under arrest, told their families, that they will be taken to Delhi to be presented before the court of law here, and then in a very, very, stealth manner were boarded flights that were available from Srinagar. We with very huge difficulty managed to also get a seat in that flight, and all of these leaders, so 4 of them who were in my flight, were under very, very strict visual by the NIA officials. The entire team was headed by none less than an IG ranking officer himself. And I did try and have a word with them. They were very categorical. They said that we have evidence on record, and on the basis of that evidence in itself, we have taken this big step. Rahul, let me tell you, this is one of the only steps that we have seen in decades now in Kashmir Valley in this manner, that separatist leaders in such number have been arrested in a single case. So it will be very interesting to see what sort of how this is taken by the people on the ground. Tomorrow they have called for a bandh, and we'll have to wait and watch for how it goes in the valley. They've called it arbitrary arrest, but the real sense will come on the ground by the manner how people react to this.
Stay with me, Suja. I've got Kamaljeet Sandhu. She tracks the NIA. In fact, Kamaljeet was the one who broke this story, the superb news break. Kamaljeet, on the arrest of these 7 Hurriyat leaders. They will be produced before the Patiala House NIA court tomorrow. What will the NIA say? What's the NIA expecting next?
Well, they already have evidence on record. That's what Alok Mittal and even the DG told us. So clearly, they have 2 months of evidence which they have gathered. Now, they will be produced before the court at around 11 o'clock. That's what we've been told. They will be taken in, and they will be taken in for a 14-day custody. That's what NIA is looking at. And clearly, once they are in NIA's custody, they will be singing to the tunes.
I want to show our viewers some of the evidence that the NIA, Kamaljeet, has been able to collect. See, in a moment from now, Shahidul Islam. Shahidul Islam is one of the key associates of Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani. He had at his residence a picture with Sayyid Salahuddin, the Hizbul Mujahideen chief. There were also letterheads recovered, apparently, where the Hizbul Mujahideen is sending thank you notes to some of these characters. They thought that these were trophies to possess and to be happy about. That's the same evidence that will now be used against them.
Absolutely, Rahul. We were the first ones to break that story. That letterheads of Hizbul Mujahideen, 16 blank letterheads, and a thank you note from Hizbul Mujahideen recovered from Nayeem Khan, the man India Today had stung. Then there is also Shahidul Islam, who's a close aide of Mirwais Umar Farooq. From his house, a Lashkar-e-Taiba note. We've been told this is an old note of 2006, but it is still relevant. What is that note? Why is a thank you aid? Obviously, this talks about a direct financial aid which was given by the separatist leader, which goes into terror funding, which also talks about how the money, whether it's through Hawala, through the LOC cross-border trade, whether it is about cash courier, all this being given, and now is going to be part of the evidence which is going to be placed before the court, and obviously now in firm custody of the NIA. These leaders will be grilled.
I want to show our viewers what Alok Mittal, Inspector General of the National Investigation Agency, told Kamaljeet about what happens to this probe from here on. Here is Alok Mittal, exclusive on India Today.
We have made 7 arrests today. 6 persons have been arrested in Srinagar, 1 in Delhi, and this is these arrests have been made with respect to the case of J&K terror funding, which we had registered on 30th of May this year. And now these 6 persons who have been arrested in Srinagar, they would be brought to Delhi. All 7 accused persons would be produced in the special NIA court tomorrow in Delhi, and we would be seeking their police remand for their custodial interrogation. We had been collecting information on these terror activities which were being funded from across the border, as well as the money was being brought in. So we had been collecting intelligence on that, plus this sting operation. So whatever information was collected, we had registered a PE, which was soon converted into a regular case, and then wide-ranging searches were conducted at Srinagar, Jammu, 2 places in Haryana and in Delhi. And based on the examination of various persons which we have done and the incriminating material we recovered during the searches, these arrests have been made today.
That's a big India Today impact. Remember, the tapes put out by India Today were the spark. They were used as the initial evidence, as the lead-in to this probe. I want to go across now live to Srinagar. Joining us from there is our executive editor, Meetu Jain. She's been able to access specific details about each of these 7 characters and their importance and why they've been picked up. What do you have for us, Meetu?
Now we have like to point out one specific information that we have picked up. S.A.S. Dilli was the fulcrum of all terror activities that was taking place in the valley. That's number 1. Point number 2, of the 7 people who have been picked up, 4 of these people were close age of Dilli, and they were the ones who were absolutely operational in taking care of everything that Dilli required, whether it was hate speeches, whether it was raising Pakistani ISI flags, whether it is giving money to stone shelters and so on. S.A.S. Dilli and his people were the people who were in behind.
With me, Meetu, there's a problem with that audio line. I'll try and fix it and come back to you for more in just a moment from now. I want to introduce our guests joining us on this broadcast. We've got GVL Narasimha Rao representing the BJP. Suhail Bukhari was till recently the media advisor of Chief Minister Mehbooba Mufti. We've got Gohar Gilani. He's been on our broadcast, has had several issues with our stories. I wonder what he has to say today when these Hurriyat crooks have been sent behind bars. GVL, to you first. You know, since the day India Today put out this expose, the NIA has been pursuing this relentlessly, and finally we're seeing action on the ground. The big question tonight, will the NIA next go after Gilani, Mirwais Farooq, Yasin Malik, or is this where this ends, GVL?
No, Rahul, first of all, congratulations to you. I was there on the very first day when you broadcast this your sting operation video, and I told you this very same day this would have a catastrophic, this would have a phenomenal impact, and the manner in which subsequent events developed. There was no doubt in one's mind that this was going to be resulting in a big impact, and this is a huge action against separatists who have actually been dealt with kid gloves for a very long time. They have always, in fact, for the last 1 year, it is separatists and their sponsors from across the border, and it is the funds that they were receiving illicitly which were responsible for the unrest in Kashmir. So all those who come on television and pelt stones on television, they actually now have absolutely no moral cover, because these separatists, all the protests, all the stone pelting incidents have actually been mercenary activities carried out by merciless separatists who have made a cottage industry out of it. Today they are facing the music. Thanks to your sting, which I think was a great input for the investigative authorities. And let me assure the people of the country through you, this is not going to end here. This is just the beginning of it. The story of the Pakistani paid propaganda and Pakistani paid protests in Kashmir is just begun to unfold, and this is not going to stop here.
I'm glad to hear that, because all governments in the past have been ambivalent. They've been very, very soft. Do you believe there is adequate evidence now for the Hurriyat conference to be banned, for them to be shut down? Because these are not separatist leaders, these are not politicians. Mirwais put out a tweet, I'll just have that out for you. Many of them are terrorists and they must be charged with and pay for what they do, which is terrorism and nothing else. GVL.
No, absolutely, Rahul. Yeah, they investigate. You see, now that they are in the custody of the NIA, I think they'll be forced to sing all that they have done over the past several years, and the entire conspiracy of destabilizing Kashmir, and all the actors who are responsible for it. I think all the revelations will now come out. I think they will start singing. And this government is committed to ensuring that all these people who have been indulging in seditious activities will be booked once for all. They will not be able to get away with this moral cover of fighting for the democratic rights of Kashmiris. All that they have done was to
what Suhail Bukhari has to say, because till just a few days ago, Suhail, you were in the administration in Kashmir. The Hurriyat has called a bandh tomorrow. They'll obviously want to make as much of a noise as they can, because the likes of Mirwais Farooq, and I know that he watches a lot of India Today, Syed Gilani, I'm not so sure about. Kamaljit Sandhu here has an old equation with Yasin Malik, who tried to beat her up, smash her phone. Do you believe there'll be any fallout? Because a lot of people believe that this is more noise, more nuisance than any real ground presence. What do you expect will happen next?
Well, Rahul, before I answer that, I would like to reiterate that this answer would come from a person who has covered Jammu and Kashmir for a decade and a half, rather than someone who was just working with the government until a while ago. The answer to this question is that we've already seen that the Hurriyat leadership has come out in open, and they have targeted NIA and the government, both at the state and the center, for taking this action, and they've called for a complete shutdown tomorrow. As Shujaul Haq, your correspondent, was mentioning earlier, it would be interesting to see how public at large responds to this particular call, because it's not against an incident per se. This is against an action that has been taken against the individuals who form the separatist leadership, at least a chunk of it. And if you look at the composition of the group of people who have been arrested today, they almost belong to all the factions of the Hurriyat conference. You have close aid of Mirwais Omar Farooq from the moderate faction of Hurriyat conference. You have people who are very close to Sayyid Ali Shah Gilani's faction, as well as people who are outside the ambit of these two factions. So the composition is such that almost
and Gaur Gilani, initially the Hurriyat was gobsmacked when we put out this expose. There was stunned silence. It was almost like ostriches dug their head in the sand, pretended that this problem will go away, but it didn't. And ultimately, even the Hurriyat conference had to come out and say that the likes of Bitta Karate, the likes of Nayeem Khan, are not doing this for the Hurriyat, they're doing it on their own. So compelling was the gravity of the evidence laid out by India Today that even the Hurriyat couldn't defend its friends.
Well, Rahul, I have no problems, if the NIA has compelling evidence, and as your sting also showed some, part of it. So then the law should take its own course, and whoever is involved in any criminal act or any misappropriation of funds will meet the law. But be that as it may, but the problem with New Delhi has been that it has accused people since 1947. I will give you one example, and you have to listen to me very patiently. Sheikh Mohammed Abdullah, the then Prime Minister of Jammu and Kashmir, was removed as Prime Minister, jailed for 11 years, and also accused of getting funds miles from Pakistan, and he was unceremoniously removed, and then nothing happened. There was no closure of that Kashmir conspiracy case. So this is on the ground. There are people, there are two sections of people. One, large sections of people see this as a conspiracy to, on the lines of Kashmir conspiracy case, but there is a section of people, especially the youth, who are asking critical questions of the Hurriyat conference. If you watch and if you follow the social media, there are people who are asking questions why these leaders like Nayeem Khan and others, who now there are 7 people including Altaf Fantosh and others, and if they have done something wrong, and people will appreciate any action against them, because Kashmir society is very vibrant, they will not tolerate anything.
Bukhari, the fact that the evidence laid out by India today is so compelling that even the most hardline of Hurriyat leaders realize that there's very little they can say in the defense of these crooks, because they've been exposed through and through.
Well, again, as Gauhar was pointing out, if there is evidence available with the NIA, it's of course going to court, and the courts would take their own decision. For now, definitely I am not in position of that evidence, and definitely I'm not qualified to take a call on that. But having said that, one very critical point that Gauhar was referring to, and I must also reiterate that contrary to the perception that at least a section of national media has been giving out about the society in Kashmir at large, and particularly the youngsters, we are definitely a vibrant society which would not go back on even asking questions wherever it is mandated. So there are, as Gauhar was referring to, if you go and follow the social media,
and I think that's important, because again and again, and I want to make this point very clearly on behalf of the entire India Today team, this is not an investigation against Kashmir, far from it. I grew up several years in Kashmir. My father was in the army, posted there. Some of my best friends are Kashmiris. This is an expose against those who are looting Kashmir, who are burning Kashmir. The Kashmiri people are our own people, and we stand by them every single second, every single day. But those crooks who are taking money from Pakistan to burn Kashmir, those crooks need to be exposed, which we've done. They need to be arrested, which the NIA has done, and this will go further. I want to get you this dispatch filed by Suja ul Haq. When he was on board that flight from Srinagar to Delhi, he spoke to Saifullah. He's one of the leaders arrested by the NIA today. This is Saifullah, in that brief reaction we got from him.
अच्छा, आप बताइए तो सही, सैफुल्लाह साहब, ये बोलिए, सैफुल्लाह साहब, अरेस्ट क्यों किया गया आपको? अरेस्ट क्यों किया? बताइए तो सही। यार इनोसेंट। हाँ? Can you please tell us कि अरेस्ट क्यों किया गया आपको? चलिए।
That's Saifullah. He is arrested, naturally not looking very pleased with our reporter, which is perfectly understandable. Meetu Jain is now back with us. Meetu, you were giving us the lowdown on the specific cases, and the key person here is Altaf Fantosh. He is the brother-in-law of Syed Ali Shah Gilani, showing you really where this NIA investigation is heading. They've got to the brother-in-law now. When will they get to Gilani himself?
Well, before we talk about Gilani, I'd like to just tell you one specific information that we have where Fantosh is concerned. It's a very important, it's an interesting piece of information, a document that we have access right here in Srinagar. I'd like to read out from it. What we are talking about is the question that we can be raising is that Fantosh, is he really running with them as and hunting with a hound kind of a situation? Because I'm going to be reading from this document and just see what it says. It says, or all of the reports are not 100% confirmed. It says that there is a piece of land was provided to Altaf Shah alias Fantosh, and this piece of land we are talking about is in Jammu on the Surrey embankment in Hajindi. The question is that what intelligence agencies are telling us is that the state government agencies had given this land to Fantosh in response or in a gratitude, mark of gratitude for the storing field after the 2010 unrest. So
Meetu, I'm sorry, that audio connection is not very good. Internet connectivity is really bad, naturally not supporting a strong audio call. We'll try and fix Meetu in our subsequent news runs. But I want to play out now as I thank all our guests. GVL Narasimha Rao, the NIA has truly done a fabulous job. And I know that there are elements within the establishment who were of contrarian opinion, saying don't go after the Hurriyat, and yet the government did. So that requires some political will and some courage as well. Of that there can be no doubt. Suhail Bukhari, for your incisive perspective. Gaur Gilani also accepting that the evidence was too strong. That's interesting and refreshing as well. I want to play out, as we slip into a quick break, just some excerpts of our mega expose. The India Today Hurriyat truth tapes that led to these 7 Hurriyat terrorists being arrested. They will be produced before the NIA tomorrow morning. The entire India Today reporting team will be tracking every aspect of this story. We slip into a break by bringing you some excerpts from our original investigation. When we come back, we're not done with setting India's news agenda just yet, because the other story we put out last Friday rocked Parliament today, our world exclusive from Mosul, from Badush jail, creating a big storm. And now, to top it all, you've got the Iraqi foreign minister speaking exclusively to India Today, saying that that prison never existed. This will lead to fireworks in Parliament tomorrow, and I'll tell you all about it when we come back on the other side of a quick break. Stay with us.
आप बिजनेस पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू से देखते हैं।
उसका इंटरेस्ट है कि कश्मीर हिंदुस्तान में है, ठीक है। हमारे कॉर्पोरेट का सिर्फ ये इंटरेस्ट है कि जो सरकार है मौजूदा कश्मीर की, वो हमारे कॉर्पोरेट के माफिक नहीं है।
जी,
ठीक है, उसको हटाना चाहता है।
उसी तरह पर कर सकते हैं, मतलब 16 में जो होगा उसी तरह पर कर सकते हैं। हमारे पास यूथ है बहुत।
नहीं तो उसमें क्या क्या चीजें हो सकती है ना, कोई
आपका अपना कार्ड है, अपना कार्ड जो यूथ है यहाँ का,
इट्स कन्फाइंड टू श्रीनगर ओनली या बाकी जगह
गाँव में भी
नहीं, उसमें ना अलग अलग 3-4 चीजें हमें बता दीजिए कि क्या क्या हो सकती हैं अनरेस्ट के लिए।
लोगों को बाहर आएंगे, सारा ठप हो जाएगा, सब ठप हो जाएगा, कारोबार वगैरह, प्रोटेस्ट होगा, सारे लोग।
कार्डर है आपका कश्मीर में
पूरा? हाँ, डिस्ट्रिक्ट में।
ठीक है, कितने दिन तक?
ये फिर आप पर डिपेंड है ना। 70% लोग ऐसे हैं जो दिन को कमाते हैं, शाम को खाते हैं, उनको भी चलाने की जरूरत है। अभी रोड लेकर लगा था 7 करोड़ 70 करोड़।
ये आप जो 70 करोड़ बता रहे हैं, ये तो अपना बता रहे हैं ना, जो आप लेंगे अनरेस्ट के लिए, ये तो अपना बता रहे हैं ना।
तो हम 6 महीने से ज्यादा कर सकते हैं।
At India Today, our credo is that this is the gold standard of journalism, and our expose from Mosul shows why. India Today sent out Anchal Vora to Badush prison, because remember, it is in Badush prison that the government claimed that the 39 Indians were being kept hostage, or at least that's the last piece of information the government had. We showed how Badush prison didn't exist. It had been razed to rubble when the ISIS was in retreat. This big India Today world exclusive set Parliament on fire today. MP after MP asking questions of the government. Sushma Swaraj was to respond at 5 p.m. That got postponed for tomorrow because 5 Congress MPs were suspended for flinging papers at the speaker. So that got delayed for tomorrow. But let me take you through all that happened on this India Today world exclusive in Parliament today. The second story setting India's news agenda, which is why India Today is and shall remain the gold standard of journalism.
India Today's Mission Iraq. The first Indian TV crew to reach Ground Zero Mosul in search of the 39 missing Indians.
This is Badush prison. This is where, according to the intelligence India's External Affairs Minister has received, the 39 abducted Indians could possibly be. But that information is clearly absolutely incorrect.
Our ground report echoing in the highest corridors of power, even rocking Parliament. The government is under fire, accused of providing false information to relatives of the missing Indians.
They actually took responsibility for assuring the relatives that there was some hope. And, you know, giving hope to people without any basis is very, very sad.
ये भी हो सकता है कि उसमें जो थे लोग वो मर गए होंगे, गिरा दी गई है.
The Iraqi foreign minister visiting India dropped another bomb while speaking to India Today. If the Iraqi government has no information, how did Sushma Swaraj reassure the relatives of the missing Indians? The opposition and even the BJP's own allies are demanding answers. And the foreign minister is expected to make a statement in the Lok Sabha on Tuesday.
तो हम आपको इतना ही बताना चाहते हैं कि हर मुद्दे का, हर सवाल का जवाब सदन के अंदर मिलेगा।
Meanwhile, the Syrian government too denies any knowledge.
I don't have any official information if they are in Raqqa city, but definitely if they are there, our army will brought them safety and will surrender them for Indian government.
The government is now in the dock. Will Sushma Swaraj clarify who gave the government the information about missing Indians being lodged in Badush jail, which has turned out to be untrue? With Geeta Mohan, Supriya Bhardwaj and Ashok Singhal in Delhi, Bureau Report, India Today.
And in the midst of all of this, India Today managed to request the Iraqi foreign minister for a quick interaction. He spoke to my colleague, India Today's foreign affairs editor Geeta Mohan, in which he dropped a bombshell. And this bombshell is that the Iraqi government has come on record with India Today to say that these Indians were never in Badush prison. That's not the information that the Iraqi government gave the Minister of State for External Affairs. At least this is what their foreign minister is saying. Remember, we had General V.K. Singh, and after that Sushma Swaraj herself claimed that they were in Badush prison on the basis of information from sources in the Iraqi government. Well, now the Iraqi government has come on record to say, according to their information, these Indians were never in Badush prison in the first place. This is an India Today exclusive.
I'm being joined by the Foreign Minister of Iraq. Many thanks for joining us, Mr. Al-Jafri. India Today had a report on how we went to Badush jail and there were no prisoners in Badush jail. So what is the information that you have on the 39 Indian prisoners?
أنا الأخبار اللي نسمعها من وجودهم في عدة مناطق تتسرب، بس هاي الأخبار مو ثابتة 100%، بس احنا بصددها. أي خبر يجينا حولهم في أي مكان احنا نتحرى. اجى على بادوش وقالوا غير بادوش وقالوا راحوا إلى سوريا وقالوا سجون أخرى، احنا ما عندنا أخبار قطعية 100% بأنه لا سمح الله مقتولين، ولا عندنا أخبار 100% بأنهم أحياء. بس كل خبر دا يجي احنا نتابعه ونأمل أن تكون أخبار حياتهم إن شاء الله تكون مؤكدة.
We have been tracking their news as they came to say that they are in Badush, but then after that we followed up on it, and the certainty of their being alive or not has not been made certain. We were tracking the news and the bits and fragments, but we have not reached anything yet.
احنا راح نبقى نتابع موضوعهم معتقدين أنهم أحياء. احنا هالشكل نفكر، يجب أن نفكر بجدية أنهم أحياء.
We will continue to follow up on their subject as if they were alive. This is what we must believe.
منهم من يقولون راحوا إلى باجوش، منهم من يقولون راحوا إلى الشام، منهم من يقولون انهدم عليهم السجن. احنا هاي الأخبار نعتبرها مو كلش دقيقة، نبقى نتابعهم إلى أن نحاول نحصل شيء.
This is inaccurate. Those piece of information that you hear usually, if they were in Badush, if they were sent to Syria, or if the prison had deteriorated upon them, that is not accurate, and we will continue to search as if they were alive.
Is the Indian government doing enough to bring these 39 Indians back? Has the government been candid with the nation, or does the Modi government have a lot to answer for in its conduct and its public statements? Joining us on the newsroom showdown tonight, Pratap Singh Bajwa is a member of parliament of the Congress party. He's been most vocal in taking up this issue inside and outside parliament. Squaring off against him, Hardeep Singh Puri, well-known diplomat. Also with us on this broadcast is Rajiv Dogra, former ambassador in the UAE. I want to go across first and foremost to Hardeep Puri, because the opposition is very upset with the Modi government. The opposition is saying that Sushma Swaraj misled the nation, that she lied on the floor of the House. Now, I'm not saying that that's what India Today believes, but that the opposition is raising this issue for certain. As a diplomat yourself, Mr. Puri, do you believe that the government has done whatever it could to try and bring these 39 Indians back, or do you believe a lot more could have been done and the government's conduct leaves much to be desired?
Rahul, it is only to be expected, and I fully understand the anxiety being expressed in Parliament and outside about the fate of the 39 Indians who have been missing for many years. First and foremost, the question of effort. I don't think anyone is doubting that a lot of effort has gone into this. But the charge of misleading the House or misleading the country is a serious charge. And I have no doubt that Sushma Swaraj will respond on the floor of Parliament to what Mr. Bajwa and other honourable members have said today and will say tomorrow. But I want to subject this charge of misleading to some clinical forensic analysis in just about 1 minute. Mosul fell on the 9th of July, when the Prime Minister of Iraq announced its liberation. The Minister of State in the Ministry of External Affairs went there 2 days later. He was there from the 11th to the 14th of July. He met the Iraqi NSA, National Security Advisor, on the 13th. Your correspondent went there on the 17th or 18th, and I must start by complimenting you for some first-rate reporting from the ground. When the Iraqi authorities are telling you that they have no conclusive evidence, and today the Iraqi foreign minister repeats that, I am only going to be indulging in some anguished introspection, and I must tell you, I think the time has come for us to subject all the evidence that Sushma ji has been receiving from the Iraqi authorities, from other sources, and evaluate it clinically so that there is no room whatsoever.
That's a very comprehensive defense,
and we must be prepared to face the reality
of where the government stands. And Mr. Bajwa, you must respond, because within days of Mosul falling, Mosul coming under the control of the Iraqi government, General VK Singh himself went there. The Indian government says what we've been telling people is based on what the Iraqi establishment is telling us, and therefore you can say we haven't been able to bring them back, but don't accuse of misleading the nation, because that's an unfair charge. Pratap Bajwa.
Iraqi Foreign Minister Dr. Abraham Al-Zafari was the last ray of hope. The credibility of the Indian government is at stake. The last ray of hope was that he may bring in some good news. And what he has said today is, I have no substantial evidence to prove if the men are alive or dead, number one. Number two, a very important thing that he's told your channel. He said, I do not know on whose basis or whose information the government of India has been saying they are alive. And they are in Mosul. They are working in a hospital over there. See, this is, I just want to ask Mr. Puri, on whose information? There was one person from Gurdaspur, Harjeet Masih, who was a live witness, who said from day one that most of the people were shot before his eyes. He was also injured. He came back. The Indian government said, don't take him, don't take his word. We are giving you our word, they are very much alive. And they said they are in Mosul. The day Mosul fell, as Mr. Hardeep Puri has already said, Indian government knew that now whatever we have said, thing would be before us. They changed the goalpost. 2 days later, they said, now they are in Budrush. So
Hardeep Puri, that's a very important contradiction, because you've got General VK Singh, you've got the External Affairs Minister say that these people are in Badush prison. Now the Iraqi Foreign Minister comes and says, that wasn't our information, we don't even know about it. Who's telling you this?
Rahul, just
one by one, gentlemen. Mr. Pratap Bajwa of the Congress has made an important point. I want Hardeep Puri to respond.
Testimony of this young man, Maji from Gurdaspur. I have watched the entire interview that he gave to your channel, and I've been reading up on it. He says that he was injured and the people, others were shot somewhere in a jungle. Now, I have understood the area a little. I've written a book on which covers Iraq and Syria. I don't know where the jungle is. There is a desert there. So there are some gaps in the testimony. When somebody says that he saw all of them shot, and then the government receives information from the other government, the regularly constituted government, that they may be in place X or Y, you have to carefully wait.
You know the fact that the NSA in Iraq has written letters where he talks about them being in Badoosh prison. Now, of course, you've got the foreign minister saying he has no such idea. But the fact is, Iraq has been a dysfunctional state. So that's the reality. Iraq has been largely dysfunctional. Secondly, when you've got sources within the Iraqi establishment saying they are alive, can you declare those Indians dead, Mr. Bajwa? Would that even be fair?
No, Rahul, I don't say. We pray to God they are alive even today. What I say, the handling was totally clumsy. It was most unprofessional. Rahul, if your girl, that young girl, Anchal Vora could reach there, what stops the Indian ambassador of Iraq going there? Okay, General V.K. Singh, they said was a high valued, high risk target. He couldn't have been sent. What was the Indian ambassador doing? You have a military attaché there. You have raw people there. You have the IB people there. What is the Indian embassy doing there? Why couldn't they reach there? Number two, very important, Rahul. For 3 years we have patiently waited. But today the whole of the nation wants Sushma Swaraj to tell what her sources were. You don't believe Harjeet Masih? Okay, you don't believe him. She said I have 4 to 5 very concrete sources. Have they produced even a shred of evidence in the last 3 years? Has anybody ever spoken to those boys? Do they have an audio cassette? Do they have a video cassette? Can they tell us where have they spoken? Whose information have they been relying on? The Iraqi foreign minister says we have never given them any information. That means were they relying on the ISIS information? They have been taking the country for a ride.
Okay, that's a good counter. I see we're having a high quality debate here. High quality debate here. Pratap Bajwa has made a very good point, Hardeep Puri. You've been a high ranking diplomat yourself. There are things that diplomats can do outside of government sources. You can hire private individuals on the ground, pay them some dollars, ask them to go to Badoosh. The government would have found out that Badoosh prison has been demolished. You can request your friends in Israel, the United States to press their drones into service. Those drones could have gone above Badoosh prison. You would have known that Badoosh prison has been destroyed. Here we are in a very embarrassing situation where last Sunday Sushma Swaraj says that they could be in Badoosh prison, but months ago Badoosh prison itself has been destroyed. Now that's deeply embarrassing for the entire Foreign Affairs Ministry. Hardeep Puri.
Rahul, you're absolutely right. And I don't want to take issue with Mr. Bajwa when the lives of 39 innocent people who had gone to earn their livelihood are at stake. But if the charge is misleading of the country, I think that charge is not tenable. What you can say is that the government's sources of information, it will now turn out on the 11th, MOS VK Singh is there. He speaks to the Iraqi NSA on the 13th. By the 17th, your camera crew goes there with this very enterprising and a young reporter. Hats off to her. And the situation has changed in 4 or 5 days. Now we are dealing with a country which was under siege. Large portions of its territory were in the hands of ISIS, which was trying to run a state. Clearly, our sources of information, if they turn out not to be correct, the government will make an evaluation and find out as to where the information came from and whom to trust and not to trust.
We've heard two very passionately argued but opposing points of view. I want to go for a third-party neutral opinion. Rajiv Dogra is listening into this argument very intently. You've got the government saying, we definitely didn't deliberately mislead. We had information from Iraq. One by one, Mr. Bajwa, I want to listen to Rajiv Dogra as well. You've got the opposition levelling very serious charges. Do you think the government did enough? Could it have done more? Rajiv Dogra. 1 second, Mr. Bajwa, I'm coming back to you. Rajiv Dogra.
Well, I'm not a politician. I'm a professional, so I'll only take the professional viewpoint. The basic thing, the crux of the matter is, could the government have said they are dead? No government in the world can declare a person dead. So government did the right thing in saying that we are in touch with the Iraqi authorities and they have assured us that there is hope that they are alive. That is precisely what the government was doing all along. But then one can go on and in retrospect wonder as to why did government rely only on the Iraqi sources. After all, ISIS was not under Iraqi control. ISIS had an entirely different world administration of its own. And this prison, which Aanchal has discovered as destroyed, in 2014, about 3 years back, the ISIS went in there, took out about 670 prisoners, shot them dead, and the rest either fled or whatever happened to them. No country in the world has been able to find out till Aanchal found that this prison does not exist any longer. So to blame only the Indian government for all this, I think is going a little too far.
Pratap Bajwa respond that yes, there may have been lacuna, there may have been lapses, but to blame the Indian government for them is unfair because you're in the middle of a hostile war zone. How do you expect the Indian government to reach there? You're in a very, very tricky situation on the ground, Mr. Bajwa.
The thing is, forget about this. It is our own government, right? I don't want to blame anybody. What we are concerned as representatives of the people, because 90% of the people belong to my state. Just think about the hapless families. They have been, every time they have come to Sushma Swaraj, they have been told, do ardas to Vaheguru. What is the government doing over there? Number two, I say, okay, forget about all this. I will represent to the Prime Minister via your channel. Send a all-party delegation headed by MOS General V.K. Singh. Let all party MPs go, 4 or 5 of them. Let them go to Baghdad, let them go to Mosul, let them go to Badrush, let them see on ground. What kind of, let us talk to the Iraqi authorities and then know that they, for the last 3 years, whatever information the government has been giving to us, was it right, or were they taking the country for a ride, or thinking, okay. Let the things end, then we'll see what
and let that be the last word on this broadcast. We've had a passionate debate with strongly argued points of views on both sides. As always on India Today, we don't take sides. Unlike many of our competitor channels, we don't believe in taking sides. We believe in putting both sides out for you to decide who you believe is right. There have been lapses, but was this willful? You decide where you stand. It doesn't really make sense for the government to deliberately mislead. There is a tricky situation on the ground. I think we will know more when Sushma Swaraj speaks tomorrow. Her address expected tomorrow sometime after the president's swearing in. This is an India Today agenda-setting impact story. We will track this relentlessly. For the time being, we're slipping into a break. We'll have more for you on the other side. Stay with us.